Hey guys, how are you doing? Welcome back to Pawpaw Stories. Today I'm going to tell you a story about a little bumblebee. His name was Beezly. Beezly was special. Beezly, when he was born, his wings didn't quite develop the way the rest of the little bumblebees did. They were smaller. Well, Beezly wanted to play with everyone else, but he couldn't fly, of course. So he would just run along on the ground underneath all the other little bumblebees. And if he decided he wanted to get into a flower to eat some pollen, he would just climb up the stalk of the flower and made him feel like he was the same as the rest of them. Although Beasley had a difference, he was special in a way that he had a big brother. And this big brother's name was Buzz. Well, Buzz was very particular with Beasley. He did not let Beasley get out of his sight. He loved him very much. And he made a promise to his mom that he would watch over Beasley and make sure that Beasley stayed safe. Well, he would do that. When Beasley come out to play, he would fly up on top of the nearest flower and sit and just watch Beasley play. And Buzz, he was still a little too, he should be playing also. But he made a promise. And all the other little bees would fly over to Buzz and they would hover around him and they would say, "Come on, let's go. We got to go check out things." Buzz would say no. He made a promise to his mom that he would take care of Beasley. Well, one day, Beasley pretended to say he didn't feel well. So he stayed in the house. Mama told him, okay, stay in the house until you got to feeling better. Well, that gave his brother Buzz the opportunity to be himself for a change. Well, Buzz flew up to the top of the flowers and he noticed all of his little buddies flying around. And they was flying and they were enjoying life and playing and playing tag and chase. Everything youngsters do. Well, they flew by Buzz and noticed that he was sitting there and Beasley was nowhere to be seen. So they said, "Hey, Buzz, you want to go with us?" And Buzz says, "Okay, where are you going?" They had heard of a place that had the sweetest honeysuckles in the land. And they were going to go check that out. Buzz says, "Where are they?" And they said, "Well, the only thing is you have to go across the black river of rocks and high wind." Well, Buzz says, "No, my parents always told me never go there. That was very dangerous." "Oh, come on, let's go." Well, no, Buzz wouldn't go. Well, so they left and Buzz decided he would just fly around a little bit and enjoy stretching his wings. Well, sure enough, an hour or two later, here comes all of his little buddies flying up to him and bragging. They had big chunks of pollen from the honeysuckles. Oh man, it was good. And they were enjoying it, tasting it, and laughing at Buzz for not going because, they was trying to get him to go and he wouldn't go. Well, one of them offered him a little taste of part of his. Buzz immediately said, "Man, that is good. You were telling the truth." So they thought about it a little while, and they said, we're probably going back this afternoon if you want to go. Buzz said, okay, I'll think about it. Well, that afternoon, sure enough, here they come. And they asked him, have you thought about it, Buzz? You want to go with us? Okay, sure. Well, about that time, he looks down, and Beezly had decided to come out and play, just in the front of their house. And he looks down and he says, guys, I might ought to stay here. Here's Beezly. He needs to be watched over. Well, they started hoorahing him, laughing at him. You're always tending to Beezly. Why can't you have fun like the rest of us? Well, Buzz didn't know it, but Beezly was listening to him. He had crawled up the stalk behind Buzz. And he overheard Buzz say, I have to tend to Beezly. I have to make sure he's safe. You guys want to go get honeysuckle, you go ahead. Maybe some other time. Well, that kind of stuck in Beezly's mind. His big brother Buzz was not having any fun because he had to tend to Beezly. Well, Beezly crawls back down, and he goes back into the house. And his mama was in there looking out her window at the garden. Well, all the other mamas were out there, and they were gathering pollen from different plants, and they were preparing for their dinner. So she tells Beezly, why don't you go back out front and play with the other little bees while I go take care of gathering up dinner. So Beezly says, okay, Mom. Well, when his mom left out the back, he just kind of crawls under his bed and kind of hangs out. That way, if she came in, he wouldn't be seen, so she wouldn't know he was still in the house. Well, his mama collected all the pollen and whatnot from all the little flowers and blooms. And she came in and she washed them all up and got them prepared for dinner that afternoon. So she goes to the front door and she goes to calling all of her children in the house. Children, come on, it's time for dinner. Well, in comes all the little sisters and all the other brothers and Buzz. They all come in and sit around their table. They had a big table because they had several brothers and sisters. Well, meanwhile, while they were occupied with figuring out which chair they were going to sit in, who they were going to sit by, because kids are funny that way. They want to sit by specials. Kids, one little sister likes this one better than the other one, so she wants to sit by this one. And so is brothers. Well, while they were being occupied doing that, Beezly sneaks out the front door. Well, he decides that he's gonna go to the honeysuckles that all the other little bees was bragging about. And he's gonna bring Buzz some honeysuckles. So he takes off. And of course he can't fly because it's gonna take him longer to get there. So he's crawling over mounds of dirt, around stalks of grass, and he gets to the big river of black rock and high wind. Well, turns out the high wind was too strong. So he says, I kind of changed my mind. I don't think I'm gonna get that. Well, while he was sitting there thinking about all that, back at home, Mom had asked, has anyone seen Beezly? And everyone said no. Well, she said, well, I told him to go out and play with y'all. He didn't do that. And Buzz says, I haven't seen him, but I will go find him. And his mama says, please do that. Go find Beezly. Tell him it's time to eat dinner. Well, Buzz takes off, and he's flying, and he's looking on the ground, and he's going along, and he's all of a sudden realizes he's getting closer and closer to the big black river of rocks and high wind. And he gets scared. Well, he goes faster and faster. All of a sudden he looks down and he sees Beezly. Well, Beezly's just tracing back and forth, trying to figure out if he wants to take that chance. So he flies down there. Beezly, what are you doing? And it scares Beezly a little bit because he wasn't prepared for anyone to be there. And he says, I was going to go get you some honeysuckle because it's my fault that you don't get to go with your friends to get honeysuckle. And Buzz says, no, you don't understand. That's not safe. It's not even safe for bees that can fly. Come on, Mom said that it's dinner time. We'll get honeysuckle some other time. So Beezly comes on and they fly along. And Buzz, he decides, they could talk more if he was on the ground. So he gets down, flies down on the ground, and he walks with Beezly. Well, they're walking over the mounds of dirt and around the stalks of flowers. And they're talking. And Buzz says, having honeysuckles is not that important. You being safe is more important to me. And Beezly says, I appreciate it. Okay. I really love you, Buzz. Buzz says, I love you too, Beezly. Mom loves both of us, and we need to hurry back because Mom's got dinner waiting on us, and she'll be upset. So they hurry back and they go in the house, and Mom asks Beezly, where have you been? And Beezly says, I was attempting to go get Buzz some honeysuckle, but I got to the river of black rock and high wind, and I changed my mind. It was scary, and it scared his mom extremely. You were always told, all of you children were always told, never go to there. That is so dangerous. And Beezly said, well, all the other bees are teasing Buzz because he won't go get any honeysuckle because of me. And Buzz said, how do you know that? And he said, well, you were talking the other day with your friends on top of the flower bloom. I had come up behind you and I overheard them talking about that, and that's what you said. And Buzz said, I'm sorry, I was just trying to make them stop teasing me. Well, they let that go and they went on about their business. And Buzz realized how much Beezly really wanted to get some honeysuckle. And he would really, really like that sweet honeysuckle. Because honeysuckle's special. It only grows certain times of year and in special places. So Buzz decided one afternoon he was going to go get Beezly some of that honeysuckle. Because he knew right where it was at, and Beezly would love it. He might even bring enough home to share with the rest of the kids. So he takes off. And he's flying, and he's flying. He's going faster and faster. Well, all of a sudden, he pulls up because he's at the edge of the Black River of rocks and high wind. But you know what? The Black River of rocks and high wind was different. There was no high wind. There was nothing. So Buzz says, wow, this is an opportunity for me. I'm going to take off. I'm going to go get that honeysuckle. So he rears back and he takes off. All of a sudden, he didn't realize this, but Black River of rocks and high wind was actually, in human life, was a highway. The black rocks were a highway. It was not a river. And turns out the high wind was actually automobiles that would come by. And that high wind was so strong that little bees couldn't make it through it. At that time, as it would be, here comes an automobile. And here comes the high wind. Well, the high wind confused Buzz, and he didn't know which way to go. So the only thing he thought to do would go down to the black rocks and hang on. So that's what he did. And the automobile blew by him. Well, as it was going by, he was so afraid. He was just, crumpled up in a ball, hanging on to the black rocks. Well, they wouldn't move because for some reason they were stuck, which turns out black rocks, they were stuck together. So there he was, just wired up in a ball, and he was scared to death. Meanwhile, as it would be, it was dinner time again. And this time, Mom was looking for Buzz. All the other little ones come in the house. Beezly came in the house. Everyone was sitting around the table. Buzz's chair was empty. So Mom says, hey, has anyone seen Buzz? He's normally watching everyone come in the house, making sure everyone's here. No, everyone said no, they haven't seen him. Well, one of them said, I think I seen him go toward the Black River of black rock and high wind. Well, Beezly perked up. His heart started racing. Why would he do that? Why would he go there? He knew it was unsafe. He told me it was unsafe. So Beezly says, Mom, I'm going to go find him. He found me, I'm going to go find him. So he takes off. And he's running faster than he ever has. He is blowing by stalks of flowers. He is jumping over mounds of dirt. And he gets to the Black River of rocks and high wind. Well, as it would be, no high wind, just river of black rocks. So he says, he sits there and he's thinking. He says, you know, I think Buzz went to the honeysuckle. So he says, I have to go. I gotta go. So he takes a deep breath, closes his eyes, and he thinks about it a second, and then opens his eyes and takes off. He's running over those rocks hard as he can. Well, the further he got toward the center of the river, he noticed something. Sure enough, there it was, Buzz. Buzz was hunkered down in a ball, holding on to a black rock. Well, Beezly gets to him. He says, Buzz, what are you doing? And Buzz says, the high wind's coming. The high wind's coming. We have to be here. We have to stay. And Beezly says, no, Buzz, we have to go. Well, Buzz said, I can't go. When the high wind came, it messed one of my wings up. I can't fly. And Beezly said, oh no, how are we going to get out of here? We can't run back across this black rock. The wind will get us. So Beezly's looking around and he's hollering for help. Help, someone help us. Well, all of a sudden, here comes the high wind. Of course it would. So Buzz is hunkered down and Beezly just covers him. He's hanging on to Buzz hanging on to the black rock. Well, as soon as the high wind stopped, Beezly immediately, with his eyes shut, went to hollering, please, someone help us. Please, someone help us. All of a sudden, he feels something or someone grab him around the waist and pick him and Buzz up. And they get higher and higher and higher, and they turn and they go toward the side of the Black River. So Beezly has his eyes shut. But when he opens them, he notices they were in the air and they were flying. So he says, would you mind taking us home? Buzz's wings messed up and I can't fly. My wings are too small. So whoever it was carrying on, he just didn't say a word. He just took off. And they got faster and faster and faster. Well, it was getting dark, so they had to get even faster. Beezly says, please, sir, hurry, it's getting dark, and my mom's gonna be worried about us. I need to get Buzz home so we can tend to his wing. So as they were coming through the flowers, in and out of the grass stalks, they see their mom and their other brothers and sisters standing in the front yard. Beezly's eyes light up. Oh man, he's excited. Thank you very much. So when they get to the front yard, all the other kids, brothers and sisters, they were standing there with their mouth open, their eyes real big, not saying a word. He looks at his mom. She's doing the same thing. What's going on? Beezly yelled at them, I found him, Mom. He's safe. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for helping us get home. Well, when they land, he feels the person releasing. Turns out, Beezly turns around and he looks and there's no one there. He was wanting to Give him a good hug and thank him very much. Well, he was obviously confused. Buzz opens his eyes and turns around and he says, "Oh my goodness, Beezly. Look at your wings." Well, Beezly, of course, turns around. He can't see his wings. So his mom, she walks up and she says, "Beezly, your wings have grown. You did a fantastic job flying your brother Buzz back home." And Beezly said, "What? I didn't fly my brother back home. Buzz is the only one that can fly, and his wings messed up." Well, turns out Beezly's wings did actually grow. For some reason, he just didn't realize it. He had never been using them and they were growing all the time. And when he needed them most, the actual person that helped him get home was his self. In a time of need, in a time of panic, his wings expanded and he flew him and Buzz all the way home to safety. Well, when Beezly realized that, he was just crazy excited. So he just stretches his wings out and he takes off flying. Oh my goodness, now he gets to see what Buzz saw. He's flying around up in the air and he's zooming here and he's zooming there. And he looks down and it's kind of a funny sight. It's turned around now. He's watching his big brother Buzz run along on the ground like he did when he was on the ground with small wings, only Buzz has damaged one of his wings and now he can't fly, so he gets to chase Beezly around. Well, that is kind of funny. So Beezly decides he's going to go down and he says, "You know what? Until your wing gets better, neither one of us is going to fly. But when it gets better, Buzz, we're going to fly." Now, if you like this story, there'll be more to come. But the only thing I'd ask you to do is hit the like button. Tell Mom to subscribe. Go to the comments down below and comment your favorite character, whatever it might be. It may be a glowworm. It may be a spider. And if I choose your comment and your character to make a story, then you will get something special. So be sure and tell your mom or your dad to subscribe, leave your email in the comments below, and I will contact you if I choose your character to make a story. After I make the story, I will contact you. Let's put it that way. So until next time, this is Pawpaw's Stories. I'll see you soon.